baby, you are gonna go broke showing turkeys like these.
Now we're talking turkey.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
It's turkey time. Gobble, gobble.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Talk Turkeys. I'm Movie Miss, and we're going to jump right back into the Scream franchise rankings that I am doing with Miss Nikki Flixx, our original co-host. Let's just jump right back in. We're going to hit the back half of the series now in this episode. Yeah, let's just jump right back in. Let's go. Let's do this. All right, so we're going to jump to Scream 4, which is ranked my least favorite in the entire franchise. This comes in at number 6 for me. Where do you put this one?
Number 6 as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is painful considering that it's Wes Craven's swan song.
Right.
It's painful that this movie is as bad as it is.
Robert's residence.
Welcome home, Sydney. You're a survivor, aren't you, Sydney? What good's it to be a survivor if everyone close to you is dead? You can't save them. All you can do is watch.
Modern audiences have become savvy to the rules of the originals. I mean, there are still rules, but the rules have changed.
And the kill's gotta be, like, way more extreme.
The unexpected is the new cliche.
And virgins can die now.
To be the new version, 2.0, the killer should be filming the murders.
That's a natural next step in psycho-slasher innovation.
Go ahead if you have the guts. Well, it's time for someone new to die.
These aren't just random killings.
There's something really scary about a guy with a knife who just snaps.
My tagline for it, Scream 4, Wes Craven's very flawed but fun love letter to this franchise and its fans. I feel like that's a good way to describe it. If you love the series, you can't help but include this one. You can't help but find things to enjoy. But I feel as a whole, it is the worst movie in the series.
And I know we'll get into it.
Yes, we will.
So it comes about a decade later, 2011, clocks in at an hour 51 painfully long minutes, written by Kevin Williamson, directed by Wes Craven. So again, even though it was a decade later, they still threw 40 million at him and said, give us another Scream. Box office of 97 million. So less than its predecessors, but still very respectable. IMDb plot for anybody that doesn't know about Scream 4. 10 years have now passed, and Sidney Prescott, who has put herself back together, thanks to, in part to her writing, is now visited by the Ghostface killer.
Okay.
That's the IMDb plot.
Sounds about as on the nose and complex as the script is. And that's saying something.
Well, let's jump into trivia and tidbits. Did you happen to watch this one with commentary at any point? Because I did not.
Yes.
Oh, good. So maybe you'll have some insights I don't have.
Probably not. It's not a lot of insight, period, with this movie.
So it is to be noted that Courtney Cox and David Arquette had married a decade prior and were really in real life romantic, as seen their romance budding in the first 3 movies. They have separated at this point in 2010 and were going to get a divorce. They, in my opinion, still work well together in these movies going forward. That didn't affect it in any way in my eyes, but it was kind of sad rewatching it, knowing that now in real life. It's like, oh.
I feel like there is an obvious, palpable disconnect between them, their characters, and they made it part of, the plot. They tried to in this movie, but you can tell that their chemistry is off in this movie. And it's one of the reasons why I dislike it so much. Now, don't get me wrong. These are my favorite horror movies. This is still one of my favorite horror movies, but in the ranking of these 6, it's my least favorite. And that is one of the things that makes it my least favorite, is the lack of that connection and chemistry between Gale and Dewey is palpable, and it's sad.
Yeah. Some trivia about how they shot this movie. They did shoot the other ones in California, and they had that really cool fountain that was supposed to be near the school at one point. So they shot this film entirely in Michigan and got lucky and found a fountain that looked damn near identical to the one from the other films.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
Yep. Like how many things in every movie up till now did we go, well, they got lucky.
Yeah.
It's like this series is just charmed in a way. It's pretty cool.
Oh, Rose McGowan, charmed.
Yeah.
Oh.
You see what I did there?
So I did like that I read that Hayden Panettiere, who is Kirby, in the bedroom scene where we get a jump scare where she opens the closet and nobody's there. They pranked her and they had Ghostface hiding in the closet.
How fun is that?
Just to fuck with her. I love hearing that.
I'd love to see the footage of it.
Right? But they said they were doing stuff like that apparently throughout the shoot to keep some of the actors on edge, to kind of make it believable that they would be on edge because you didn't know who was around the corner.
Well, think about it. If the take that they used in the movie is the take right after they did that to her, how scared was she opening that closet, wondering, is he going to jump out at me again? Like, for real? Genius. Yeah.
I think it's
That's
hilarious.
a Steven Spielberg directing move right there. Like that's so smart.
So were you aware that they had a Principal Himbry statue in this film, which is an homage to Henry Winkler's character from the first movie?
Why not build a statue to the man? I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's not real obvious. It's only in the corner of one shot. And I guess that's because they didn't think it looked very much like him. So they didn't want to showcase it in the film.
Right.
I paused it. I disagree. I think it looks a lot like Henry Winkler.
You can tell it's him. Yeah. As an Uber fan, it's another one of those little Easter eggs that you just love and appreciate. And things like that are part of why I called this one a Wes Craven's love letter to the Scream fans. Yeah. Little things like that are obviously just Easter eggs to the people who love these movies.
Right. So that's all I had for trivia. So if you don't have anything, we can jump into what works in this film.
Well, I can give you a bit of trivia that's a trivia about me in relation to this movie.
Nope, people listening to this don't want to know anything about you.
Oh, well, they're going to find out anyway, damn it. I happened to find my way into a test screening of this movie. We were polled, filled out a survey, everything. It was before the movie was released. They wanted superfans, and that's what they got me. And some other superfans I know were there and saw this movie before it was released. So I am aware of some changes that were made between that test screening and the final version of the film. And one of my biggest what doesn't works is the one where they didn't listen to me and they left it in the movie as is. We'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a fun little thing that I was involved in seeing the prior version of the film, and I'm aware of some things that fans obviously didn't like. I didn't like them, and a lot of people probably agreed, and they were modified or changed a bit.
So everybody gets to get into these secret screenings except me, because Mike was telling me, my husband, about one time when he got to go to one. His comment on the comment card was, needs more monkeys. Whatever this is, it needs more monkeys.
I feel like he would say that about every movie he sees. You know what the problem with this movie is? Not enough monkeys.
Exactly.
It could all be solved with more monkeys. It's very Mike.
I love that you got to go to a test screen. I can't wait to hear about it. Okay, so what works for you in this? I'm going to jump in real quick with one right off the top to redeem now what I said earlier. Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox's hair. They both look fantastic in this movie.
Their hair does. Absolutely.
Yes.
I will 100% agree with you.
I was
Courtney
so
Cox's
happy.
hair has been redeemed from those baby bangs.
Yes.
Yeah. They both, their hair, really hair across the board. Kudos to whoever the hairstylist was on this film.
Kirby's little pixie cut. Oh my God.
Right? How adorable. Yeah. Good hair. Okay, so we're finding pros. We're finding things to sing.
Lemon squares?
Yes. Wonderful hair. And I hear the lemon squares were good.
Yep. Except Gail, she doesn't like them. She says your lemon squares taste like ass, which is also my favorite line.
My favorite line of the movie.
I just wanted to go, how do you know what ass tastes like? But okay. So what else works for you? Deputy Hicks works for me. I like the character. She's not in it enough. They do a good job of making her suspicious.
Agreed. I like her character. I like the actress. I like that they put her in as a possible reason for the tension you're feeling between Gale and Dewey. We needed something to explain it. So I appreciate that that was maybe Wes Craven being sensitive to their plight and trying to include in the story. There's a reason why there's a disconnect between these two. And she's a great reason to have. So that works for me. I agree with you.
That gets highlighted, bold, 5 stars next to it. That is the number one thing for me that works in this film for exactly why you just said. It gives a reason for the awkwardness between Dewey and Gale.
Yeah. Another thing I feel works really well is we're back in Woodsboro after being in Hollywood. I like that. And I like that Ghostface masks are everywhere on all the lampposts. And like, obviously the history of what has happened in the prior 3 movies is looming over the town now. It's everywhere. And the kids even think it's cool. That is unsettling. As someone who's been through it with Sydney, to be back in Woodsboro just like she is and to see how it's being celebrated is so uncomfy and unsettling, and that works really well.
Unfortunately, that's all I have on my what works
I was going to
list,
say,
so you go ahead, take it.
one thing I have to say is my list of what works is short and sweet. What works is the idea of all these horror movie obsessed kids having a stabathon. I fucking love it. I myself have a stabathon every year. I had a stabathon that ended this morning for this recording. So I love that.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Exactly. but the wind is taken out of the sails a little bit because it's also really weird and lame that they're doing it while there are real murders happening. It's happening. Like if it was happening in the beginning of the film, okay. One thing that works most of the way through the movie, Emma Roberts works. For me, her performance and her character fall apart at the end, but most of the way it works. So I'll give her that. I can't really find many other things that work other than my favorite character in the movie, Kirby.
Okay.
Most of the new characters don't work, especially the teenage characters. They don't work. The actors don't work. The dialogue doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Kirby works. Hayden Panettiere works. Thank the casting gods that she made it into this movie and that they wrote her this character because it works.
So this segues right into what doesn't work. I don't get the love about Kirby. I don't get it. I don't get why there's a fandom about her. She's almost a non-character in this movie. Her and the friend Olivia. I believe it's Olivia. Who's the one that gets killed in the bedroom? Anyway, they're just there to be the sidekicks to Jill. And she doesn't really say or do that much and contribute that much until she gets killed. We think she gets killed. I don't get all the love about Kirby. I really don't. Now that doesn't take away from Hayden Panettiere. I love her and her performance. I don't get the love about her character.
She is sassy, mouthy. She's smart. She is trying to keep Jill on track. She's being more than just some sidekick or friend. She's being the voice of reason so much. She's supportive. She's strong. And then right before her death, that phone call she has with the killer, if that fucking monologue that she gives where she throws out every horse, like, how could you not go, you know what? Screw little Charlie and whoever else, Robbie with their movie club. This girl is the MVP. She's the real horror fan. She's the one I see myself in. I love Kirby. She's badass.
My next comment was going to be, you see her as your spirit animal, don't you?
She's one of them for sure. Her obvious actual love of horror and how she finds the whole stab thing and that they're wanting to sit there and watch it distasteful the same way I do. I'm here for it. And I think she's great. And I think her performance is great. And she's the shining star of this movie, again, outside of Gale, in my opinion. Kirby's my favorite character in the movie. I just love her.
Wow. So I hated that she starts going, Texas Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, blah, 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 and rattles off every movie. And then she goes, I got it. I won, didn't I? And before the killer can say yes or no, she just assumes everything's fine because she rattled off 50 fucking horror titles. That is terrible writing and it's stupid as hell. I hated it. And then you liked it.
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best moments in the entire movie. And that's saying a lot because most of the other moments are bad moments.
Wait, no. Please just ask me one more question, just one more.
Right, Kirby. Then it's time for your last chance question. Name the remake of the groundbreaking horror movie in which the villain...
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha. It's one of those, right? Right? I got it right. I was fucking right.
So you mentioned a movie club. That's one thing that didn't work for me. I did like, though, I mean, the movie club and Brain Scan seemed a lot more fun than this movie club. Let's just say that. Posters of The Hills Have Eyes, The People Under the Stairs, and I'm sure other Wes Craven movies I didn't clock are up in this movie club room. And I did like that nod.
For sure. It's another one of those little things where I'm like, it's unfortunate that it's a movie that doesn't work in so many ways, and it's Wes Craven's swan song, and it's a love letter to his fans, and not just Scream fans, but fans of Wes Craven and fans of everything he did for horror. Of course, you had to have this movie club that clearly loves Wes Craven.
Yeah. So another thing that didn't work for me, this movie does, and it's just what movies do, it's an empty hospital trope. At some point, people are in hospitals getting attacked, and there's nobody fucking around.
I have gripes.
Hate that.
I have gripes about that in this one, but even more gripes about it in one of the subsequent films. Yeah, that bothers me as someone who's spent time in hospitals. Ain't no fucking way that there aren't 40 to 50 people on every floor of every hospital and bright fluorescent lighting all the time. Like, just there's no.
Halloween.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't work.
Horror movie trope. And yeah,
it doesn't work.
Let's subvert the trope at some point, people.
Another thing that doesn't work, the character of Charlie and the sorely underused Rory Culkin. He's a fantastic actor. That was a great opportunity. The character, the way it's written, and the reveal of him at the end takes away from what a good actor he is. And I don't like it. It doesn't work.
Agreed. The whole bullshit of them using, Jill's clearly using them, but their piece of why Charlie, not his film buddy, why he wants to be involved is because he likes Jill and is trying to impress her or whatever and get in her pants. But also his approach of, we're going to film all these and stream everything because that's the new way to do it, is the internet, kids. Like, hello, wake up. This is where we're going.
You film your entire high school experience and post it on the net?
Everybody will be doing it someday, Sid.
It's kind of the one component the killer is missing.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, if you want to be the new version, the killer should be filming the murders.
Yeah, it's like the natural next step in a psycho-slasher innovation. I mean, you film them all real time, and then before you get caught, you upload them into cyberspace.
Making your art as immortal as you. Not to implicate him.
So who do you think is behind the murders?
Well, it's a stab fanatic, clearly. Working on less of a shriekwell and more of a scream-make.
Copyrighted terms, by the way.
Because all there are now are remakes. Only horror the studio's greenlight. I mean, there are still rules, but the rules have changed. The unexpected is the new cliche.
Yeah, you gotta have an opening sequence that blows the doors off, dial up some flashy music video direction, and the kill's gotta be way more extreme.
Modern audiences get savvy to the rules of the originals, so the reversals become the new standard. In fact, the only surefire way to survive a modern horror movie, you pretty much have to be gay.
I don't like, at the end, Jill compounds that and says, what am I supposed to do? Work? Am I supposed to get a job? Like, I can be famous and stream all this, and then I'll be famous as you, and because of the internet. I don't like that. That's the take that the way they're going with this movie. That's the stance they're taking.
Agreed. I don't like that it feels like it's someone trying to take a dump on millennials. I don't
there
like
you
that.
Go. That's there you go.
I don't like it. I fully agree with you. Another thing I feel really doesn't work is Sydney's publicist.
Mm-hmm.
I love that actress. She was on Community, and I love that show. But she's written to be so obnoxious, so annoying that you're just waiting for her to die, and you don't even care how.
Agreed. I also have what doesn't work: the underused Anthony Anderson and Adam Brody. They have a very fun, quick death sequence. They're not in it enough. I feel like that's a theme that I keep coming back to in my notes on this film. Is, wow, they're doing a great job. Too bad they're barely in this. About a lot of the characters.
Yeah. So on my list of things that doesn't work was one of my big complaints at the test screening was Anthony Anderson's death. You're talking about how you can't put a butcher knife through the wall of a bathroom stall. You want to put one through someone's forehead? Really?
Yeah.
That is so fucking stupid. It's so dumb. The way it looks is dumb. It's not believable. Why would a killer go for one of the hardest parts of the human body when there's so much soft stuff to aim for with a knife? It's stupid. It's not funny. It doesn't work. And it was my biggest complaint at the test screening. And it's one of the only things they did not change. And I was mad. They did fix the sound. It sounded really stupid during the test screening, and they fixed the sound effect, but it just looks stupid. And for me, it takes me out of it.
Especially when you find out who the killers are.
Right. Yeah.
Lou Ferrigno couldn't put that knife through his skull. These children are going to do that?
Yeah. It's just silly. I mean, why not go for like right under the chin, into the soft spot of the neck, or right through the eyeball? Yeah, something else. Just I said, please change that. Yeah. Please reshoot that. Get him in the eye, get him in the throat. Like, I don't care. Just the forehead seems so stupid. And then knowing who the killer is, absolutely not.
Yep.
Yeah, does not work. It's my least favorite kill in the entire series. It's so stupid.
So found out that they shot a whole bunch more stuff with Mary McDonnell, but it was not stuff they wanted to include in the film for various reasons. They cut most of her scenes. Jill's mom, Sidney Prescott's aunt, and that made me sad. Again, underused person in the movie.
And the scenes she does have, she plays it really weird. You can tell that there's probably a lot with her that got taken out, because this back and forth of her being ominous or threatening, it seems really choppy and really strange. It does not work. You're like, wait, why is she being all weird and ominous? And then that leads me to another thing that I can't stand is, why is Sydney's father just doesn't exist? He doesn't exist in this movie. He was a pivotal part, a small part, but a pivotal part in 3. If she's coming back to Woodsboro, why isn't she staying at her dad's or staying with her dad? Does he just not live there anymore? Are we even going to talk about it? Why is she staying with this weird aunt?
Yeah.
What's going on there? It doesn't work.
Shoehorned in to get her close to Jill.
Yep. Another big complaint I have, Robbie saying, "You can't kill me, I'm gay," to Ghostface. What? I get that we're going, hey, it's the new era, and they're gay people
some of the rules,
and they exist in horror movies. And one of the new, oh well, you're black, so you're gonna die first. You're gay, so you can't die. It's a little too on the nose for him to just come right out and say it. That seems really stupid. I don't like it.
Yep, agreed. I have nothing else that doesn't work, because when we get to favorite scene in a minute, I'll be able to sum it up. Do you have anything else for you that didn't work?
Jill as the killer. Kind of a big one. Your main mastermind killer. It doesn't work. And as soon as we have that flip, her performance as this character goes out the fucking window. She's too over the top. She just comes across as some snotty, entitled millennial bitch. I don't like it. I don't buy it. It ruins her performance. And I know that she's a great actress. And it's like, wow, you really did her a disservice by turning the character into this. It doesn't work. And then the biggest thing of the entire movie, biggest complaint I have, in the hospital, given Jill and Sydney's injuries, this little showdown that happens between the two of them, the thing with the paddles, clear. Are you fucking kidding me? It's so stupid. It absolutely would not happen. Just no way. It's the worst ending of any of these movies.
Okay, so that actually is going to have us jumping around. That'll just segue into least favorite character. My least favorite character in this movie is Jill, and close second is Charlie, because he's working with her. I don't buy Jill's motivations. She fucking, like you said, flips on a dime because of the reveal. I don't buy her as manic, crazy, out of control, lost her mind. I'm not the girl you cheat on, and shoots her boyfriend in the dick and then shoots him in the head. Very violent and abrupt.
Yep.
The whole thing, Jill, this whole bit with her does not work for me.
Agreed. But I do have to give a shout out. One of my complaints at the test screening was the whole her injuring herself. I felt like during the test screening, there wasn't enough. She didn't do enough. And it would have been more fun, because I hated the character so much at that point, to watch her do more, to drag it out a little more. They did. They changed it up. They obviously shot way more and then pared it down at the test screening, and they put some of it back in, I think, for the final release. And I appreciated that they listened to the audience and did that, because it is fun to watch this annoying character just beat the shit out of herself. It's kind of fun to watch. It's sad that you're rooting for her to kill herself at that point, but
that's exactly my thoughts while watching that.
Kind of
scene.
Fun to watch. Yeah.
Because you're like, because you hate her.
Oh, she's so annoying. And it sucks, because I feel like Emma Roberts, since this movie, gets pigeonholed into these unlikable, snotty entitled characters. And
Mhm.
I think this script and this movie is part of why that happens
Well,
to her, which
un-
sucks.
Until the recent, dreadfully painful to watch split season of American Horror Story, where it's a kind of a Rosemary's Baby-ish story, she is fantastic as a sympathetic character. Wonderful performance in that.
Agreed. That's what I'm saying. I feel like she has so many more things in her toolbox as far as being an
Yeah.
actress. And this character and this script really did her a disservice.
But so how I feel about this movie, let's just jump up to favorite scene, because the opening of this movie with the fake out of the movie within the movie within the movie and all the people that are in it and how fun that is. And then for me, after that opening, the whole movie is just nothing but downhill from there on out.
Careening downhill on fire.
Yep. Yep.
Agreed. My favorite scene, like I don't think there's been a Scream movie where the opening sequence isn't my favorite scene. This is so fun and so cool. And it's like, how are they ever going to top what has come previously? Wes Craven does it.
Yep.
He does it at the way that it opens and then it opens again. Like, oh my God. It just, Lucy
And then
Hale.
it opens again.
Yeah, I love Lucy Hale. So going, oh, is she the new Drew Barrymore? Her death is brutal. It's a really cool kill. And then Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell. I
Fucking
love
Kristen
that.
Bell.
The way that they're commenting on sequels and then the predictable opening scenes. What that little offhanded comment about Stab 7 being so bad, like I love it. Stab 5 had time travel, so it's the worst one. They reached a new level of meta in this opening.
Yes.
And it's like Wes Craven is having so much fun with the craziness that has ensued in horror since he made Scream. And he's relishing in it during this opening sequence. So I love it. Thank you, Wes Craven, so much for this opening scene. It's perfect.
And to be honest, on a first time watch, I was all fucking in. I was watching this opening going, fuck yes.
Right? Jaw on the ground. Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, all downhill after that.
Unfortunately.
So how about favorite kill?
Jill and Kirby are in her room, and I believe the character is Olivia, their pretty friend / neighbor. That entire sequence where she's on the phone, the killer's in the closet, you think it's her closet, it's actually the friend's closet. And the way she dies is so brutal.
Oh, guts on the bed and everything.
That entire scene and sequence, that and the opening scene are really my only scenes that I love in this movie. So it has to be that. That is such a really cool idea that they're tricked into thinking the killer's in our house and actually he's in her house. Like I love it.
And I did appreciate the bit of gore and the guts, because this franchise has been sparing on that. Lots of stabs, lots of kills, but not a lot of guts and gore. So this is also my favorite kill. And favorite character in this film, who are we giving it to?
It's a tie between Gail and Kirby. I love Gail. Obviously, I can't stop singing her praises in every movie. I love how she is able to still stand out and lead the charge, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, despite the weirdness between her and Dewey. I love when she's just on her own at the Stabathon, planting those cameras and stuff. You just love rooting for her, and she's like the no nonsense one that wants to get down to business and be like, let's put an end to this fucker. You know, like every time, like that's her attitude, take charge, and I just love that. So for me, she's still my favorite, but right up there with Kirby. I just love that character.
My favorites are Dewey and Hicks, so I'm all in on the coppers in this one. Just fun for me every time either one of them is on screen. And that's what I had to reach for and look for when watching this turd of a film, was what's making me happy? What am I looking forward to?
Right. Overall, I feel like I've said that Wes Craven made this movie for Scream fans. So despite its many, many flaws, I still love and appreciate his efforts, no matter how well they were or weren't executed. I love that this movie exists because we get his final take on what was happening in horror and what had happened to the Scream franchise. We get his little, love letter, basically, to the fans of these movies. So I can't be that mad at it, even though I feel it's the worst one.
All right. Anything else on Scream 4 before we move ahead another decade?
Nope, let's do it.
All right, let's jump to what we didn't know was coming for quite a while and then surprised us all. Scream 5, aka 5 Cream, from 2022. Clocks in at 1 hour, 54 minutes. Not mad at it. Written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. Written by them. They also wrote Ready or Not and Abigail, which are also films I've enjoyed. So it's no surprise that I enjoyed their writing on this one. Directed by two members of a filmmaking collective known as Radio Silence. We have Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Their buddy Chad did not join in, but he's also a member of Radio Silence.
This isn't funny, Amber.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Doors unlocked. All doors locked. Doors unlocked. Hello?
It's happening.
3 attacks so far. Do you have a gun?
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Something about this one just feels different.
Samantha? I know who you are. I've been through this a lot. This is your life now, which means that whoever this is gonna keep coming for you. You ready for this? Never.
There's certain rules to surviving.
The attacks were all on people related to the original killers. Whatever his link is to our past, it's pulled us all back here. And I won't sleep until he's in the ground.
Hello, Sydney. It's an honor.
So, IMDb plot for Scream 5. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Before we jump to that, what is your what is your tagline for this one, your subtitle?
Scream 5, the best requel in horror. Period.
IMDb plot. 25 years after a streak of brutal murders shocked the town of Woodsboro, a new killer dons the Ghostface mask and begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town's deadly past. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay. Budget of a hot 24 million, box office of 139. People were happy about a new Scream film, I think.
And I have to preface our discussion about this movie by saying my love for the previous movies, even 4, made them sacred to me. So hearing that someone other than Wes Craven was going to take up the mantle, I was really suspicious.
You were super precious about your Scream movies.
How this would turn out. But I think the gift of it all is that Scream 4 left so much to be desired. As far as the quality, there was room for improvement. So if someone was going to do this, my hopes were they would be respectful of Wes Craven's legacy and the prior movies, and that they would find a way to take what he did and bring it back to what it used to be. That was my hope, but I was very suspicious that it wouldn't live up to that hope.
Me too. I was apprehensive going in.
Yeah.
Now I have a streaming service, so I was able to see Scream 5 the day it was in theaters. I was able to just sit on my couch and watch it at home, which was fine by me. But I did, because I was anxious to see it right away. I did not want spoilers. So my takeaway was, they did all right. Then I waited until it was properly streaming, watched it again, better definition, my captioning, which I always appreciate. Kind of had forgotten what had happened, liked it a little more, caught some stuff, and then this is the third watch now for the pod. Fucking loved it. It took me a while to get there because I was precious about 1 and 2. Don't you dare touch my Scream. You already done fucked it up with 3 and 4, in my opinion. I was like, why are they bothering? Fucking love it now. For rankings, though, because we're doing the whole franchise, Scream 2022 does come in at number 3 for me. It's right there after 1 and 2. I think they knocked it out of the park with this now, after a couple of years of appreciation for it and really watching it and digging into it. Where does it fall for you?
So Technically, I have to put it at number 4 because I do hold the first 3 as a trilogy, and I automatically put 3 at position 3. However, as a film, this is leaps and bounds better than Scream 3 in every way. It is also exactly the redemption I hoped for. It's so much better than Scream 4. I'm so happy this movie was made, and really, I think it's the 3rd best film in the series. I agree with you, but I have to put 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 just for reasons, personal reasons. This was so much, this lived up to every expectation I had. It was so much better than it had any right to be. It was done well, and so I'm glad they made it because they had every reason to fail making this movie, trying to live up to Wes Craven's legacy, and they didn't. It worked so well. I love it.
So let's just talk small things. Let's talk trivia and tidbits. Do you have anything fun to throw in here?
No, I'm not as well versed with 5 and 6 as I am with the first 4.
Okay.
So
I'm
interested to hear your trivia tidbits.
So I only have a couple. 2 of them are pretty obvious. Character names in this film. We have a Wes, and then spoiler alert, after he dies, they all do a tribute shot to Wes. And you know damn straight that also is to Wes Craven.
Oh, of course.
It gives me all the feels when they do it now in the movie.
It's very sweet.
Sam, main character, her last name is Carpenter. Kawinky dink.
How could it not be?
Lemon squares are in the fridge is a sticky note at home at Deputy Hicks's house.
I noticed that on this last rewatch because I've only rewatched 5 and 6 just the one time for this. Yeah. I saw them opening night, each one in the theater, and then just rewatched them yesterday and today for the first time. So yeah, I noticed little things like that too, and that made me giggle.
I giggled so much at that. And then my last little comment on things is the casting of the love interest. Jack Quaid, he was on The Boys beginning in 2019. He's recognizable as Dennis's son. Even if you don't watch his films and shows, you're not familiar with his work. He was a quasi big name. He was making a name for himself. I think it was a huge misstep to cast him so noticeably a person in this role.
I do disagree with you.
Because I suspected him immediately.
Well, of course you suspect him. He's our heroine's boyfriend.
No, I literally mean, I turned to Mike because he watched it with me and I said, he's the killer or one of the killers you watch. Immediately. Because I said, oh, it's Jack Quaid. Look at that. I bet he's the killer.
Or did they bring in a brilliant, semi-well-known actor to throw you off? Which I rode the fence almost the whole time. So I totally disagree with you. I think the casting of Jack Quaid is brilliant because you need an actor of that caliber to get you going, is he or isn't he, is he or isn't he? And for me, I was on that fence the whole time. I really was. Yeah. So I feel like an actor that couldn't pull that off as well, doesn't have the chops, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been too obvious. But because it's him, it does work.
Now, don't get me wrong about my love for Quaid. His performance also fantastic until the end. We'll get there. I love him. So I just thought it was an odd choice. And the last little tidbit I have for trivia stuff is the Gail making a joke about her bangs on TV that we catch for 3 seconds when we go to Dewey's. Did you catch that?
Yes, I love it. I love it so much.
Somebody please stage an intervention if I'm going to do that again. Yes, Gail, yes. That is why I felt comfortable making a comment about her bangs, because she knows her bangs were bad.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's jump right into my favorite section here. What works? Tell me what works for you. Let's dig in.
The way that they stripped it down and went back to the basics of the original film. I love it. No more over-the-top meta references. No more unrealistic deaths. The callbacks and homages to the OG film and the other films and horror genre are more subtle and pared down, and they work really well.
I feel like Vanderbilt and Busick, who wrote this, I feel like they are either students of Craven and Scream or fans of the films, because you can feel the love and care that went into the script.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much reverence for Wes Craven and what came before. And I love, though, that the almost over-the-top meta of it all that we had in 4 has been stripped back down to the vibes of the original movie here, which is what you need to do with a requel. It works
Yes.
so well. I love it.
Now, for the kids at home who don't know, what is a requel?
Well, I think Mindy and Chad explain this as they need to. They need to be the ones to explain it.
So the first 3 attacks are all on people related to the original killers.
Oh my god, he's making a requel.
A what?
Or like a sequel. Fans are torn on the terminology.
God, please speak English.
Okay, remember the Stab movie that came out last year?
Oh, yeah, the one the Knives Out guy directed, right? You know, I actually really liked that one.
Of course you did. You have terrible taste. I hate you. The point is, the hardcore Stab fans hated it. You go on 4chan and dread it. All they're talking about is how Stab 8 pissed on their childhoods, how they crammed in social commentary just to make it elevated, how the main character is a Mary Sue.
What's a Mary Sue? You really don't want to know.
What's wrong with elevated horror? I mean, Jordan Peele fucking rules.
Obviously, but that's not Stab. Real Stab movies are meta-slasher whodunits, full stop.
Come on, it's just a movie.
No, it's not. To some people, the original is their favorite thing in the world. The movie that made them love horror, that mom or dad showed them when they were 10, that bonded them together. And God help anyone who slightly fucks with that special memory, who makes a movie they think disrespects it. It sounds like our killer is writing his own version of Stab 8, but doing it as a requel.
Which is?
You can't just reboot a franchise from scratch anymore. The fans won't stand for it. Black Christmas, Child's Play, Flatliners, that shit doesn't work. But you can't just do a straight sequel either. You gotta build something new, but not too new, or the internet goes bug fucking nuts. It's gotta be part of an ongoing storyline, even if the story shouldn't have been ongoing in the first place. New main characters, yes, but supported by and related to legacy characters. Not quite a reboot, not quite a sequel, like the new Halloween, Saw, Terminator, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, fuck, even Star Wars. It always goes back to the original.
Are you telling me that I'm caught in the middle of fan fucking fiction?
Not just in the middle, Sam. You're the star.
So, not to put, like, too fine a point on it, but according to requel rules, who's next?
Going by the pattern, whoever it is has to be connected to someone that came before.
I'm starting to regret coming here.
Jesus, my mom is character in one of them.
No one cares about the shitty, inferior sequels, Wes. You're safe. With Randy as our uncle, though, you and I are probably screwed.
Wait, what? Or you're the killer and this whole, elaborate monologue is just to cover your tracks?
I think it's pretty clear who the killer is at this point.
Who?
You? It makes perfect requel sense.
That actually does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a remake and it's not necessarily a sequel. It's going back to the first of the series and bringing it into a new era, paying homage to it and building on it, bringing in legacy characters, but also giving you a new fresh plot and new characters. It's a sequel, it's a remake, it's both, and it's neither. That's a requel. And there've been a lot of them in horror. And this, I stand on firm ground saying, I feel like this is the best one that's been done so far up to this point.
And you did make a point to mention Mindy and Chad explaining it. They are Randy's niece and nephew, children of Martha Meeks, Randy's sister, Heather Matarazzo, who does show up in this film, even though it's just for a minute. It's delightful. I love that they have the tribute to Randy on the mantle.
It's so silly, and it fits with what we felt like Randy was like. That's probably what his family is like. So it tracks and makes sense, and it seems so funny. They have his little graduation photo and his yearbook photo, and like the little shrine to Randy, and that these kids would not have known him, but would have such love and reverence for him. Yeah. It almost feels like it's the same love and reverence we have for Wes Craven with these movies is now being channeled into their love and almost worship of Uncle Randy. It's adorable. And how they have, especially Mindy has his love of horror films and has carried that tradition on. I love that. Okay, so that's another thing that works. It shouldn't work. It should feel a little heavy-handed to have Randy's magical appearing niece and nephew are friends of our main characters, but it just works. It's written well. The characters are written well. The actors are wonderful. I especially love the actors playing Mindy. They're fantastic. Thank you for new young characters that actually work.
Yes. So Mindy, Jasmine Savoy Brown, and Mason Gooding as Chad, brother and sister combo. I think they were great casting because A, they look like siblings,
Oh, yeah.
and B, stellar performances from both, which is hard to say for young casts in a lot of movies nowadays, unfortunately. Now, I will say the opening of this film, I want your thoughts, but first, I want to say all that bitching and moaning that I did an hour ago or however long about how 3 didn't do the let's just kill a big celebrity in the beginning. I was pissed off that they subverted what I had come to love about 1 and 2's openings. They don't do that in this one either. And it works. It works for me. I fucking love the opening of this movie, not doing that and also not killing anybody. I love that they subverted all of it.
Agreed. I feel like in each film, every single film, 1, 2, 3, 4, now we're on 5, every single opening sequence managed to do what you hope it will do, which is shock you and take what happened in the movie before and turn it around a little bit and give you something unexpected. Every single one has done it. And this one carries on that tradition by not killing her. But the sequence itself is absolutely terrifying. The whole
Yes.
opening sequence, it's again my favorite scene of the movie.
The fucking locking of the phone app, lock, unlock, lock, unlock.
Oh my God. And then him asking her, so bonus question, did I get in before you locked it again? That is terrifying. And Jenna Ortega is stellar performance from her, especially in this opening sequence. She is angry and terrified, and you just buy every second of it. She's wonderful.
So having seen her in the new Beetlejuice, having watched Wednesday and seeing her in this, I was worried that we were going to get a Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart situation where we find somebody we like in one thing and all of a sudden they're in everything and you're sick of them immediately. 2 years later, they're in every fucking thing and you can't stand the sight of them. That has not happened to me yet with Jenna Ortega. And as God bless her, I love her. I think she's fantastic. Please don't put her in everything because I'm not sick of her yet. So what else works for you? Because I think Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega together, I buy them as sisters. I love the bond that they slowly start to form, even with the speed bumps they have along the way with the reveal of, Melissa Barrera being Billy Loomis's daughter and the family broke up and all that. They get over these speed bumps and they still come together and bond. And I buy it. And I'm going to attribute that to their performances and the script.
Agreed. Something that shouldn't work is the whole, oh, she's actually, the love child of Billy and her mother. It shouldn't work. It does. It does so well. Thanks in part to her being a wonderful actress and the way it's written, it's not too heavy-handed. It shouldn't work, the whole de-aging and CGI insertion of Skeet Ulrich as Billy. Should not work. It fucking works. It's so cool. Her visions of him and the things he says to her, the way that he's just looming over her, the ghost of him. It's reminiscent of Sydney being haunted by her past, but in a totally fresh and new way. It's so cool. I almost jumped up out of my chair and started clapping when he appeared for the first time. I fucking love that.
So let's go ahead and just quickly have that conversation right now, since you brought him up.
Mhm.
For me, that doesn't work in this movie
Mm.
because ghost or mental illness. What is going on here? What is your take? And give me reasons and things to back it up.
Well, clearly it's not supernatural. These movies take place firmly in the real world. We know that. Obviously, she is haunted mentally by the knowledge that she only came to know a few years ago, that this psychopath was actually her father. The way that must have completely thrown her off mentally and emotionally to find that out. I think she's like 13 when she finds that out. And then she explains that, she, all the acting out she did as a teenager and the drug use and the running around and being a little hooligan was because her whole world got turned upside down. The older she got, the more she probably dug into who Billy Loomis was, what he did. How much would that get in your psyche and screw with you to the point where you would think that this father that you never knew could literally be appearing and talking to you. I think it's completely in her head. It's a psychological issue, and it's totally understandable. I feel for her. I feel so terrible for her that she's in this position. Yeah, I buy it completely, and it works for me.
Okay. So it doesn't work for me because I just don't like the whole physical representation. Like you said, you feel like it's her mental stuff. I disagree. I think that he is a ghost because I'll give you 2 reasons. Number 1, she wouldn't know that that's what he looked like when he died. He's exactly as he looked when he dies. He's bloody. He's wearing the white shirt. She wouldn't know that that's what he looked like, and she wouldn't see him like that. And then B, in the final scenes, when she looks up into the mirror at him and he gestures down, hey, look down there, there's a knife there. And then she looks at him and sees him do that gesture. Then she looks over and sees the knife. He showed her where the knife was. It's not like she just looked over and heard his voice in her head. Okay, so I'm going with, this is a debate that's online. I'm on the side of it's actually Billy's ghost. That's where I'm landing.
You could argue that Billy's ghost is her subconscious, the part of her subconscious that is genetically similar to him and maybe even has sociopathic tendencies. Perhaps in the cackles of her subconscious, she did notice that knife. She noticed everything because she thinks like him on that level, but it's not something she's consciously aware of. So her subconscious has Billy's ghost tell her, hey, there's a knife over there. She noticed it. She just didn't want to realize that she noticed it because normal people don't notice things like that. Psychopaths do. I feel like there's a whole lot. We could spend an hour just dissecting this argument.
That's why I said, yeah, it's on the internet. People are taking firm stances on both sides of that fence.
I feel the way I feel. You feel the way you feel. Much love and respect to each of us for having our opinions, and all the fans out there who agree with either one of us. We can move on to other things.
So the last thing I had that actually works for me in this movie, the use of red right hand in Kyle Gallner's death scene.
Right? Oh, I love it the way it's playing on the car stereo. Oh my God. Love it.
Agreed. And I feel like the score in general on this film works hand in hand with what's being shot, because this movie to me did what 3 and 4 didn't do, which was ratchet up the tension to an 11. This movie, if I was still biting my nails, I would have had nubs because I was so on the edge of my seat how tense this fucking movie is at times.
Yep.
So fucking good.
Agreed.
That's all I had for what works.
I have more.
Go for it.
I feel that the interactions and relationship between Gale and Dewey works really well. They were able to bring it back around from where it was in 4, which was painfully awkward and hard to watch. And they have, I believe, one scene where the two of them are really just face to face and sort of hashing some things out. And I love that. And you can see the genuine connection and emotion that those two really still have for each other. And knowing what ends up happening, it's really great. And bravo to both of them for being able to continue working so well together, even though they're now obviously divorced. So that had to be awkward and hard to get through, but they pull it off so well. And then I feel another thing that works is the evolved relationship between Sydney and Gale. Those two coming back together after Dewey's death, and the way that they continue to work together and hold on to each other for the rest of the movie from that point works really well. And I really love and appreciate that.
I'm with you on that with the Gale Sydney thing, because Dewey calls Sydney and Gale to tell them, or he texts Gale to tell them shit's happening, don't come back, there's, whatever. And then Sydney does come back to comfort Gale when after Dewey dies. I love Sydney's agency in this film, which is a word I cringe just hearing myself say because I don't like to use that term, but she tells Mark and the kids, which I went, yes, Mark and the girls, I love it. They're safe, they're back home, but I'm here for you, to Gale.
Exactly. I love that when Dewey's on the phone with her and she says that, and I want to cheer and go, yay, she married him. And she has a beautiful rock on her hand, so that's confirmed. And obviously it's the same Mark. It has to be.
And she points out she carries a gun. She's like, I'm Sydney fucking Prescott.
Of course she carries a gun, yeah. Okay. I love how he tells her, do not come here. And she's like, absolutely not. Why would I? The minute she finds out about Dewey, she is right there for Gale. I Love that. So I love the way that they worked her in and the way that they have continued to evolve her character. They continue to evolve Gail's character. They give them a reason to come together and work together. And the way that the two of them buddy up, like, you know what, we're going to take this fucker down and save these girls from this bullshit that we've been living through for the past 25 years. I'm here for it. I love it. It works so well.
All the interactions between Sydney and Sam, where Sydney's trying to set her straight and Sam's doing sort of what I hated the first time I saw it and cheered by the third time, is she goes, we're getting the fuck out of Dodge. Like, bye, yes. We're out of here.
Yeah, she's reacting the way you would expect
you would do. Yeah.
Someone to react. And just like a parent with a child going, hey, I've been through this. Would you please just stop and listen and learn from my mistake and don't make the same one? Guess what? Kids don't listen.
Yeah.
They go ahead and they make the mistake. So yeah, I like that. Not really the passing of the torch, but I like the way that Sydney is trying to bestow the wisdom she has gained to Sam. And it's very realistic. And it's very much who her character is now. And I appreciate that. And by this point, Neve Campbell is not the same actress she was in the first Scream. Not at all. Mm-mm. And I absolutely love her. She almost takes the cake as my favorite character in this movie. Almost. She's real close.
Okay. I did have one more what works well. I wrote it in a different spot on my notes, so I just now saw it. I appreciated, as a horror fan, how absolutely brutal and gory this movie is with the deaths. Fucking brutal. Thank you. As a horror fan.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love, like I said, I feel like this one did what it needed to do as a requel, which was go back to the vibe of the original. The original, when it came out in 1996, the violence was shocking. This one manages to do it in 2022 and go, oh, you like Scream movies? Well, we're going to up the violence and make it more shocking.
Ratchet it up, baby.
That's what needed to be done because you had to make it fresh and new. And that's exactly what's happening.
Do you have more what works? What else?
I would say one more thing that works is the bringing it back to Stu's house and a party that shouldn't be happening. That works. I love that. And Sydney having to stand in front of that house and realize what house it is again. She did it in 3 when she was on the set, and now she's really doing it. It's like we brought it all the way back around and made a loop. I love that. It shouldn't work. It should be a little heavy-handed, but I love it. I appreciate the fact that Mindy is sitting in the couch in the same spot watching the movie where the scene is Randy's character sitting on the couch watching the movie.
Right.
It's the movie within a movie within a movie, and it doesn't feel as schlocky as it felt in part 4. I appreciate the hell out of it, so it works.
So what doesn't work is bringing it back to Stu's house. because when we have the killer reveal, that bitch Amber, who's been Jenna Ortega's sort of good friend this whole movie, is one of the killers, makes the comment about why it's this house. We had to snatch it up because we found out it was the Mocker family house and the sister was putting it on the market or some nonsense. And they talk about Stu had a sister. I forget if she says she was related or not. But
Amber being related to Stu?
I couldn't remember it, or they just wanted the house. Okay.
No, her parents bought the house and she realized she was living in Stu Mocker's house, thus her online obsession with what happened.
So she found diaries in the attic that Stu's sister had written. Something they say some reason why she knew and researched it, and Stu's sister somehow, and that made me go in my mind, well, Stu's definitely dead because he had a family. They sold the house. There had to have been a funeral if people knew. There's no way Stu's still alive, and this bitch is bringing all this up. So it was kind of stupid and lame, I thought, that they went back to Stu's house. I don't know. It didn't really matter to me that it was Stu's house. It could have been anywhere, and it still would have been a fun, tense finale, I thought.
The back to Stu's house isn't the part that doesn't work, but I agree with a lot of what you're saying because the Amber part doesn't work. We'll get there when we get there, I guess.
Yeah, no, we're in what doesn't work. So
what doesn't work? Amber.
Amber. Dewey's death scene is Amber, we find out, because she and Richie, the boyfriend, are the killers.
I have so many complaints about it.
She's the one that takes Dewey out. So here's my issue, and this is so funny because Mike actually brought this up to me watching several of these films. He says the one common theme that he finds in the Scream movies is none of these people know how to press your advantage. Press the advantage when you are being attacked. When the killer goes down, don't run away. Kick them in the head, stomp on their face, shoot them. Nobody in any of these Scream movies has figured out how to press their advantage. These movies would end so much sooner if people didn't just, oh, we kicked Ghostface and knocked him down, run away. Don't run away. Dewey could have shot her right in the fucking head right then.
Agreed. That whole sequence. Okay, so I do have to give props to, thank you for once in a horror film, someone who's been poked and stabbed like a pincushion is having trouble moving around. It's realistic. Thank you. Tara is obviously, God, Jenna Ortega's great. She's obviously in so much pain. Yes. As she would be. It's realistic. Thank you. However, the deserted hospital, all the lights are off. Bullshit. Ghostface in that scene is the same height as Dewey. That's not Amber. Bullshit. Dewey at this point would not run away and then change his mind and go back. Bullshit. He would not empty all the bullets except one so he could go back and finally face down Ghostface. Bullshit. I don't believe the scene other than Jenna Ortega being wonderful and a victim who's actually in pain. Yes, everything else totally unbelievable and stupid.
It's the redemption moment for Dewey as far as he's making sure that they get away and they're safe. And now I'm going to go back and finish it.
Give me a break.
But I see that that's what they're trying to do. I don't like it, but yeah, I see that that's what they're trying to do.
I feel like realistically, he would have just said, get in the elevator and go. He wouldn't have left that body's side. He would not have gone and then decided to go back. So maybe we're splitting hairs, but I mean, just there's so much about it that feels unrealistic. Like that can't be that girl Amber. Are you kidding me right now? Like,
way.
Give me a break.
I don't care how psycho she is. She's not pulling that off. And then what also doesn't work is, like you said, the deserted hospital trope. I don't like the hospital attack on Sam near the beginning of the film when she's in the break room and there's nobody fucking around microwaving a burrito. Are you kidding me? Bullshit.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what I have for what doesn't work, because this movie had a longer list of what works.
My biggest complaint of what doesn't work is Amber. The actress doesn't do a good job. I don't like the twist with her character. It didn't make sense how clingy and weird she was with Tara. Like it just, and the coincidence that she lives in Stu's house. None of that stuff works for me. It all seems a little ridiculous. The one other thing that doesn't work in this movie is Courtney Cox's facial muscles. It's so distracting. I hate how much work she did to her beautiful face. By the time you get to this movie,
the real villain of Scream 5 is Botox.
By the time you get to this movie, like, it's taking away from what a great actress she is, because she literally can't emote as well.
Agreed.
It's unfortunate and
I shouldn't laugh, but it's
like
agreed.
It's sad because I have so much reverence for her as an actress, and I think that she's so physically beautiful too. I hate that she's at this point, and it does seem like since this movie, maybe she has toned it down. Things have kind of settled and gone back to a little more what you expect a woman of her age to look like, and she's still just absolutely one of the most beautiful women on the screen. But it's a little distracting in this movie. It's unfortunate because she is still my favorite character.
Okay. I think you're being a tad generous. I think she knows now. She's even come on Instagram and said she knows she fucked her face up and she's trying to fix it. So it's kind of a bummer. You're right.
It's a distraction.
It is. It really
takes away from her performance.
That takes me right to least favorite character, though, because fucking Amber. And then also a close second is Liv, who is basically a non-character in this movie. She's in 2 scenes trying to make her a red herring?
Yeah.
But Amber takes the cake. Amber is my least favorite.
Yep.
So who's your favorite character?
It's still Gail.
Okay.
I love the continuing story arcs with her character, and I continue to love her performance. But right up there is Tara. I think her character is the best addition to the franchise ever, because you're giving your main character, Sam, a literal physical motivation for something outside of herself to fight for by having this sibling that was attacked and she wants to protect her, and it fights against those urges she has because of Billy being her father, yada yada. It's really smart to give you essentially 2 main characters, and Tara is well written. The relationship between her and Sam, you buy it completely. Those actresses are fantastic, and Jenna Ortega really stands out in the entire movie.
Agreed. My favorite character, also Tara. Close second is Sheriff Judy. Hicks is now sheriff. I like her sass. I like her no nonsense back talking attitude toward everybody. I fucking love it.
Yep.
But then I did have a third runner up for favorite character. It's Hobbs and Shaw. And that is what Chad calls his biceps.
The names of his biceps. Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
All right, so let's jump to your favorite scene in this movie, which I'm sure there's a lot to choose from.
There are a lot to choose from. I end up having to keep the theme going. It's the opening sequence. It really is.
Okay.
The way that they've once again taken the whole, well, the killer can spoof a phone, the killer can spoof a voice. Now you've got the killer is straight up texting you while you're on the phone with them, posing as your friend. That's scary. And in 2022, like, how often are you on the phone but also texting with somebody else? Like, it's totally a thing. The landline versus the cell phone. It's cool. And she's so scared, and you buy her performance so much, and you're immediately so afraid for her, thinking this beautiful, well-known actress is about to bite it. And then she doesn't. And you just want to cheer that she's not dead. Like,
Yeah.
the suspense, it's right in line with every other opening sequence, and I am here for it. It's my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay, so mine is a big one. Mine is the finale. I like everything about it because you get to see Amber get double tapped. Like, she dies not once but twice, which is fucking fantastic because I hate her. I do like, my favorite line in the movie is, even though I'm pissed off that I knew it was Richie, when he just gets real close to Sam and he's like, I know, it's a bummer, it's me. I'm like, yeah, it's a bummer, but I saw it coming, bro.
It's a bummer, it's me.
For me, my close second is the same scene. For me, right up until the very end, right up until he says that, stabs her, I was back and forth on the fence, not sure. When he's running down those stairs, after the way he reacts when he gets shot and he's cowering in the closet, and then Amber pops out and he's like, holy shit, was that Ghostface? Like, I completely believed him.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker. And when he's running down those stairs after being shot in the leg, I did not think it was him. He flips it. And so, yeah, for me, that's like my second favorite scene.
I love all the brutality of the finale.
The brutality of the finale. I'm here for it. And the way that Gail and Sydney team up and go off on Amber. I love it.
But favorite kill in the movie? Was it one of the finale kills, or did you choose something else?
No, it's not.
Ooh.
It's a twofer.
Okay.
It's Judy and then Wes. The way that you just think he's about to get butchered a la Psycho, which would be fitting, in the shower, you don't expect what happens. The way that she pulls up and is running for that door, and Ghostface is there in broad daylight on her porch and just stabs the shit out of her. It's so unexpected. It's a jaw-dropping moment. Right on her front lawn, there are people, there are neighbors, like, there are cars. Holy shit. It's so intense and brutal and unexpected. And then you don't expect him to also bite it so quickly right afterward. Like, and that the nervousness you get for him when he leaves the shower and he's walking around, and that whole scene, that whole sequence of her dying, then him dying, is my favorite scene in the movie. And it's my favorite kill, on next to the opening sequence.
Okay, so it's my favorite kill as well for Judy and her son Wes, because like you said, Wes has so many false scares, false moments when he's from shower to front door. There's about 4 times I counted where somebody could have jumped out and stabbed him. So I love the tension building.
They keep using the whole, he opens a door, he opens a cupboard, and then is the killer going to be behind it? They use it like 3 or 4 times, and it just keeps working. I love it.
And the close-up of his death, when he gets a knife literally through his fucking neck on the side of his throat.
Yep.
Fucking brutal. And then slowly pulls it out. I was like, fuck yes.
Yep.
So good. And I did note also, it was pretty funny that in the finale, when Sam grabs the knife and is stabbing the shit out of Richie, I was counting it, and she stabs him 22 fucking times. Brutal.
She's got a little bit of her father in her. Little stab happy.
So do you have anything else for 5 before we move on?
Just that it exceeded any expectation I could have had as someone who loves these movies in almost every way. There are very few complaints, and I'm very happy this movie was made.
So the last thing I have to mention is, we talked about the requel and how Randy's mini-me, Mindy, lays out the rules of a requel. But we forgot to mention that Dewey has his own rules when they come to meet him, Sam and her boyfriend Richie. He points out number 1 is never trust the love interest. Number 2, killer's motive is always connected to something in the past. And number 3, the most important one, the first victim always has a friend group that the killer will be a part of.
Yep.
Dewey was right on every fucking one of those, and they didn't listen to him.
Yep. And I think Sam actually says that and points that out later on. Dewey was right.
I hope she does. All right, so now we are at the last film so far in this franchise. It is Scream 6 from 2023. Again, fast-tracked because it did well. Clocks in at 2 hours, 2 minutes. Again, not mad at it. It breezes by. This one, written by James Vanderbilt, Guy Busick, directed by Radio Silence again, all the same people.
It's for you.
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone. This is long overdue.
What is this place?
A shrine.
Did you miss me?
He's gonna keep coming after us. Maybe he gets to win this time.
We've got to lure him in. And we execute him. I hear you're a horror fan.
It's been said.
Where does this one fall in your rankings? If people are keeping track, they should know.
Well, so far, 1, 2, 3 are 1, 2, 3. Scream 5 is 4th on my list. I really enjoyed it. This one falls right after it at position number 5 because I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. I like it better than Scream 4. To me, Scream 4 is the stinker of the series. So this one would take position 5 for me.
Just to recap, I had 1 and 2 as 1 and 2. And then the one right before this, Scream 5, was 3rd. So this one comes in as 4th. I like 1 and 2 together. I like 5 and 6 together. So this is in 4th for me. So this one, IMDb plot for Scream 6. The survivors of the Ghostface killings now leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. Okay. They gave them a good budget, 30 to 35 million, and it made 169. So it's no surprise they want to try to keep this going. You saw this one on opening night?
I did see this one on opening night. And my tagline for this one would be the sequel to the requel that is so much better than it has any right to be until it really isn't. We'll get there.
Yes, they do point out that this one isn't a requel. This one is now officially making this a franchise. Which is fine. That's fine. Call it that.
Listen up. As terrifying as this all is, I'm actually glad I get a chance to redeem myself for not calling the killers last time. It's fine. Okay. The way I see it, someone is out to make a sequel to the requel.
What's a requel?
You're beautiful, sweetie. Let's hold questions to the end.
Stab 1 took place in Woodsboro. Stab 2 took place in college.
So do we think that the killer is trying to copy the movies?
That is one possibility. Heroes now in college. Check. Suspicious new characters brought in to round out the suspect list and/or body count. Check, check, and check.
I don't like this.
But it can't just be about Stab 2.
Why not?
It would make sense if this were just a sequel. But we're not in a sequel because nobody just makes sequels anymore. We're in a franchise. And there are certain rules to a continuing franchise.
I had a feeling.
Rule 1. Everything is bigger than last time. Bigger budget, bigger cast, bigger body count, longer chases, shootouts, beheadings. You gotta top what came before to keep people coming back.
Beheadings?
Beheadings. Rule 2. Whatever happened last time, expect the opposite. Franchises only survive by subverting expectations. If the killers last time were whiny snowflake film nerds with letterboxd accounts instead of personalities, you can bet the opposite will be true here. And rule 3, no one is safe. Legacy characters, cannon fodder at this point. Usually brought back only to be killed off in some cheap bid for nostalgia. It's not looking too good for Gail and Kirby. Oh, and that's not even the worst part.
This is the part where she tells us the worst part.
The worst part is, franchises are just continuing episodic installments designed to boost an IP, which means main characters are completely expendable now too. Laurie Strode, Nancy Thompson, Ellen Ripley, Sally Hardesty, Jigsaw, Tony Stark, James Bond. I mean, even Luke Skywalker all died so their franchises could live on. That means it's not just the friend group. Any of us could go at any time, especially Sam and Tara.
Let's talk about a little bit of trivia and tidbits, random stuff. I do want to throw in that in the finale when Kirby's chatting with Mindy, they're trying to get a read on each other. She does mention Stu getting killed, and Kirby says, "If you believe he's dead." And I'm like, oh, we don't need to throw that out there. Stu's dead.
There's online chatter.
Again, this one, casting for me, not talking about performances, just physical appearance. We find out that the killer reveal is Richie's dad and Richie's two siblings, a brother and a sister, Quinn and Ethan. I think that the siblings could be Richie's siblings. Like, I see the resemblance when I look for it on a rewatch, because the first time you don't pay attention to that because you don't know who the killers are. But on a rewatch, I'm really looking at their faces and I'm like, wow, how did nobody realize they look just like Richie, pretty much? Great casting. The dad, Dermot Mulroney, I like him. He doesn't look anything like any of them, so that I didn't buy at all.
I don't want to add anything in there because this is in my huge list of complaints about what doesn't work, and we're not there yet.
Fair enough. Did you notice in the opening scene of this movie? Okay, let's talk about the opening real quick. Samara Weaving shows up, Hugo's niece, who is a fantastic actress in her own right. Wait a minute. She was in Ready or Not, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Holy shit, I just made that connection right now live. Okay. She is hysterical that she is a film teacher, or horror film teacher, more specifically, and gets duped and killed in this opening scene. And I love that when he's asking her what her favorite scary movie is, she laughs and she's like, haha, not that one. We know, obviously, she's talking about Scream.
Well, she's talking about Stab.
Oh, right. Stab.
Slashers, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
So the opening, the killer kills her and we get expectations subverted yet again. How do they top themselves with these openings? I don't fucking know, but I hope they keep it up. She pulls the mask off of the killer. First time watched, you're like, what?
Yes, just the same I've done with every single movie. They done got me gal. They did it again. I actually did jump up out of my seat when she pulled that mask off. I'm like, I don't know who he is, but what the fuck is happening? Is this actually a Scream movie? Why are we seeing him immediately? I was so here for it. They did it again. The screenwriters, man, did they pick up Wes Craven's mantle and just run with it, or Kevin Williamson's mantle, and ran with it. I love this so much. It's such a beautiful way to open this movie. It's perfect.
So you find out this is a kid named Jason and his buddy are film students or whatever, and they want to finish this for kicks or film class, or I'm not sure why.
No. They say they're going to finish Richie's movie.
Okay, there you go.
They knew him.
Okay.
So you're like, okay, we know who they are. They were her students, so that's why she died. They're friends of Richie. They want to finish his movie. They're equally obsessed with the Stab movies and how bad they got and blah, blah, blah. You're explaining all of this to us up front?
Right.
What is happening?
And then he goes back to his apartment, and before he dies, he's watching Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th, part 8 on the TV. Please tell me you noticed that.
Oh, yeah, of course I noticed it. Because what are you going to do? Move the action to New York. They'll never see that coming. That's exactly what this movie's doing, too. I love it.
Right. Well, I'm glad this one didn't wind up all on a boat.
Yeah.
Instead of in New York. All right, so let's jump into what works. Again, the opening. Fan-fucking-tastic opening.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're keeping it up with it being gorier. That oh my God, when you just see just a little bit of her innards popping out through that wound. Oh, it's so gross. It's so gross. It works so well. The iconic opening, it's fresh, it's different, it's upping the ante. Oh my God, it works. And the shifting the story to New York City, it works.
That's next on my list.
I love it.
A less isolated city makes it more terrifying, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because people are everywhere. So how can this happen to you when somebody is standing 10 feet away from you? People walking past the alley when she's getting killed.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy and terrifying to me. What else works is Kirby comes back. I love that they make her a red herring.
Yep, me too.
And she plays it well enough that I want to believe her, that she's not cracked after what happened. She's an FBI agent. I like that they have to throw in she looks fucking fantastically gorgeous and young for her age, because Gail has to comment they let children in the FBI, and she's like, I'm 30.
I have that written down. And then Gail says, you look like a zygote. And Kirby goes, I have a gun, Gail. One of my favorite interactions in the whole movie.
What works for me, Sam is on meds, trying different medication. She's in therapy. She is trying. She's trying very hard to deal with her trauma in a healthy, correct way, in my opinion. I love that in this movie.
Yes.
Because one thing I can't stand is a character who is, woe is me, I'm just a victim of life, I can't overcome what's happening to me. It's like, yes, you can. And this bitch took the reins.
Yes.
I'm going to get medication. I'm going to get therapy. I'm going to fucking live my life and be a badass. And I love that about Samantha's character.
Yes, absolutely. It takes the work that we saw Sydney finally doing to work through her trauma. It takes that and takes it way further, because really, if you think about it, Sydney's part of my generation. These kids are part of my kids' generation, and they are so much more in tune with and aware of how your mental health can be affected by things, and how you have to get ahead of things and talk about it and be open about it and work through it. And medication and therapy are not a bad thing. That stigma is gone. It needs to stay gone. The transition of how to work through trauma from one generation to the next, and you're seeing it happen. I love that.
Wouldn't be me if I didn't comment. Mindy's hair, her transition from that beautiful hair she had before to this chic little cute haircut. Oh my God, she looks gorgeous.
I know, I love it.
What else works for me? So when Quinn, quote unquote, dies mid-movie, the dad gets right in Sam's face, and we know in a rewatch that he's one of the killers. And he takes this opportunity to look very intensely right into Sam's face and say, you fuck with my family, you die. He's not saying it to her. He's explaining why he wants to go after the killer who killed his daughter, supposedly. But in a rewatch, you're like, he is looking her down and saying right in her face, I'm going to fucking kill you. That hit way better and way harder on a rewatch because you know the information already.
Agreed. And part of that is a tribute to what a sensational actor he is. There have been some misses when it comes to the villains in these movies. And as an actor, he is a bullseye. He's fantastic as an actor, pulling off the dichotomy that you have to have, that you're the red herring, you're not a suspect, you're one of the heroes, you're a villain. He does it great. I'll say that much.
We'll split hairs on his character in a minute.
We'll get there.
Do you have any more what works before we work?
Totally.
Go for
totally.
It.
So remember in the first film, we talked about this earlier, when Billy says, movies don't create psychos, movies make psychos more creative. If you really think about it, in the first 3 movies, the killer was always killing for personal reasons. There was a domino effect that starts with Roman, Sydney's brother, inspiring Billy to commit murder, and so on and so forth. In Scream 4 and 5, the killers are killing because they're inspired by the films about the previous killers. Billy was right. The psychos were made more creative by the movies about what was started by him. So what he said came to fruition. And what works is how they've gone away from that now and brought it back to, this is going to be
revenge.
Something personal. This is revenge. Yes. And that works. Another thing that works is Chad and Mindy being back. They expand on them. They give them more material to work with. They make them both more involved in what's going on. They're not just, side characters. They're part of the core 4. That works. Chad's insistence that they're the core 4 and how awkward that is and they're like, no, that's lame. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not going to have a special high five. All of that stuff works. The chemistry between our 4 main characters, the core 4, works. There's so much about these core 4 characters that works. The addition of Kirby works. Gail and Kirby together works, that you don't even notice the lack of Sydney once Kirby comes in.
I forgot to mention one more thing that does actually work for me is Danny, the cute boy from across the way, the hot neighbor that Sam is having a torrid affair with, and nobody knows it till, a little ways into the film.
Mm-hmm.
His, and this is a tribute to the actor as well, you don't know if you should trust him or not. And at one point, he even tells her, "You're right. I'm not going with you. Don't trust anybody, not even me." Because he is her protector. He knows you got to go do what you got to do. But until that point, he's protecting her as well. She's protecting Tara. He's protecting her. I love his character, and I'm so happy he doesn't die.
Agreed.
What else works?
The way that they managed to work a little more of the whole, isn't this meta, where watching a movie where there are movies about this. The fact that it's around Halloween time, as it often is, and there are so many people in ghost face masks, particularly the scene in the subway with all the people in the costumes, and there's like a ghost face everywhere you look, but
There's
also
also other ones.
Michael Myers, Pinhead, Georgie and his red balloon, the Babadook, the Shining Twins. There's so much to look at as a horror fan. I like that they brought back a little more of that connection to the stab movies again, because it is fun to kind of poke fun at itself. So that also works.
Okay. So it doesn't work for me. The core 4.
Oh, really?
Just no, don't do it. Also, it doesn't work for me. The very bland, offhanded use of red right hand. There's a scene where somebody's in the park, they're walking in the park or something, and for like 30 seconds, you get a little bit of red right hand. And I'm like, you should have just not put it in at all. I was kind of bummed. I also have what doesn't work. When Sam is talking to her therapist near the beginning, and he's telling her, I can't fucking, well, he doesn't say fucking, I can't help you if you don't talk to me. She opens up and tells him everything. And then he goes, well, I'm going to have to report you now. Okay, first of all, she says to him, which is correct, I did not say I'm going to harm myself or anyone else. There's nothing to report. You told me to tell you what happened. And the therapist just like, well, and I'm like, really, movie? Really?
Well, because she got too honest and told
mean,
him that killing somebody kind of felt natural, maybe even good to her. I think it makes a valid point though, because yes, therapy is a good thing. Yes, just about everyone on the planet could and should benefit from it. However, therapists aren't infallible. They are people, and some of them maybe aren't so good at their jobs.
Well, also, what popped in my head immediately, even the first time watch, was she was in Woodsboro 6 months ago. She's been in New York 6 months. They would have wrapped up that case. They would have found that she wasn't a murderer. It was self-defense, what have you, whatever, or they wouldn't have let her leave the fucking state. Clearly that's been resolved. She's not, a suspect in an ongoing investigation of murder. She's been found. Everything's fine. Case is closed.
Yes, but as is the case in our current world, that doesn't stop people from spreading misinformation online, which is
I just mean from the therapist's point of view.
Yeah, but
why would you have to report her for what? She didn't murder anybody. They closed that case.
No, he's overreacting because sometimes therapists aren't so good at their job, and he is just a person, and maybe he doesn't deal so well with someone saying something that makes him feel uncomfortable.
I didn't add it in what works, but you just brought it up. The whole online misinformation thing. That's the age we live in. That works for me, that they work that element into here.
Definitely. And that it would be a tool that the killer would use to create doubt and suspicion around Sam. Oh yeah, for sure. That works.
What else doesn't work for me? The shrine in the theater. You mean to tell me that these two fucking college kids put that whole thing together? Really? Really? That's a bit of a stretch. What else doesn't work for you?
Okay, here we go. I made it to halfway through the movie and only had one complaint, which is a record for these movies. I was shocked. My only complaint was immediately I found it weird and not believable that Sam and Tara would just randomly find a roommate through an ad. No, not after what they've been through. I don't buy that. But literally halfway through the movie, that was my only complaint. But finally, at an hour and 19 minutes in, here they come. Okay. Number one, why does Gail keep her gun in a safe? She lives alone and has no children. What is that about?
That's
I don't think so.
what I said.
I don't think so. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really affect anything because she gets the safe open before she comes face to face with the killer, whatever. But that whole her fumbling with the safe, stupid and not believable.
Yep. Agreed.
Also in this sequence, number 2, when the killer, who we later find out is Amber, pops out of her closet at her, then proceeds to stab her in the shoulder and the leg. Why in the hell wouldn't the killer go for her abdomen or torso, where all the vital organs are? You're going to stab her in the 2 places that are totally survivable? Okay, sorry, not Amber. Quinn. To me, it's just as stupid and unbelievable as Amber in the prior movie. This tiny little female.
Well, she would have taken out that big burly boyfriend of Gail's too.
A few minutes ago, she managed to pick up this big beefy man and throw him through a glass wall, but she can't figure out where to stab Gail. Are you serious? That's so stupid. But it was amazing that I made it this far and into the movie, and those are the only complaints I had, but here it comes. I loved this movie a lot right up until the reveal of the killers. I'm sorry, but it ruins the movie, okay? You're telling me that their stupid little roommate faked her death and that the detective came in and staged a body and used prosthetics just to pull one over on them and make them think that Quinn was dead? Like, that's ridiculous.
The coroner and all the people there believed it?
What?
No.
And why? Why? You're telling me Richie's father planted himself as a detective in the NYPD knowing that Tara and Sam would move to New York City? What? That doesn't make any kind of sense. There is no logic, and it does not track on a rewatch. It's so stupid.
Also, we find out here in the finale, family of psychopaths, and he's in the police force. He passed a psych evaluation.
He's a detective. You don't just become a detective by applying. You become one by being in the police force for a minute.
Yeah. And he's a psychopath. And his children are all psychopaths, including Richie, which they know. They know he was a psychopath killer. And they're okay with it.
And he encouraged it. And this guy managed to be a detective in the NYPD, knowing that Tara and Sam would go there and that's where he would need to be. And then inserted his daughter, inserted his son, that he's the mastermind because he's a psychopath and all 3 of his children are also psychopaths.
It's too much.
It's way too much, and it ruins the steam this movie had. It completely deflates. I fucking hate the ending of this movie. This is the worst killer reveal they've ever had.
And add one last little thing where you and I are going to split hairs over Dermot Mulroney's performance. I don't buy him as this unhinged, wide-eyed, waving the gun around crazy psychopath. I do not buy it. Sorry.
Agreed. It's up until this point that I think he's fantastic. I'm a little sus, and then no, I believe him. He's a grieving, angry father. At this point, he goes way off the rails over the top with the performance. And it's because this is just completely not at all realistic or believable. So what could he do? There is no way this is grounded in any kind of reality. It's pathetic, and it does the whole movie such a disservice because it was so good up until this.
I also hate that at the final part of him and Sam having a confrontation, she realizes she doesn't have a weapon and she's like, fuck it. And she bum rushes him. He's 20 some odd feet from her and holding a gun. He doesn't shoot her. Come on.
Well, he's as stupid as his kids are because they also couldn't figure out how to properly kill somebody. Both Mindy and Chad are alive.
Yeah, I was pissed off that Gail gets shoehorned in as surviving. Mindy and Chad are survived. Come on, we don't have to Dewey everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're doing everybody for the sake of, well, there are so many people who love these characters. It's stupid, and they either should have gone one way or the other, especially with Chad. It either shouldn't have been so brutal what they were doing to him, or he just shouldn't have survived. It's really unbelievable and stupid. The fact that Mindy's alive, okay, whatever. Maybe the stabbing wasn't enough because it was so crowded in public. I could believe her being alive, but Chad, no way.
Anything else that doesn't work?
Oh, there's a whole lot more that doesn't work. And it all comes in the last 10 minutes of the movie, which is so disappointing. Why are Sam and Tara sitting there having a heart-to-heart after everybody's dead, knowing that Kirby is laying there and she's been stabbed and they said, we're going to go get help. They just left her there and now they're sitting there having some heart-to-heart. It's a good thing she jumps up and throws the fucking TV on the stupid virgin roommate guy.
Yes, I thought that too. I said to Mike, poor Kirby's laying there bleeding out.
Yeah, I'm glad she's okay, because I really appreciate and love Kirby as a character, and they need to keep it going. But them wheeling Chad out after that, I'm like, really? Like, it's just, there's so many things in the last 10 minutes of this movie that make everything fall apart. It's super disappointing because it was so good up until then.
But I did like the very, 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 very end, where Sam and Tara are on the street together. The sun's coming up. She's holding Billy's mask. And she just is like, she drops it and puts her arm around Tara and they walk off. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, leave that shit in the past if people will let you. And you guys go live your life. Good for you. Good for her.
Yeah.
So I do like that poignant moment. We still have a couple more things to touch on with this, but I do want to say with the studio and the issues that happened with Melissa Barrera and they let her go, they were going to do a trilogy out of these new movies and they ended up doing 2 and that's it. Jenna Ortega left after Barrera was kicked off the project, and in solidarity made me respect her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy knowing that this is their story. 2 films is their story.
Mm-hmm.
It works and it ends beautifully for them, I think.
Yeah,
I didn't need a third movie.
Despite how the killers being the killers and the reveal of all that just is terrible, I agree. The ending for Sam and Tara is a good ending.
It's like they put a pin in it. Like I don't need a third movie for them. Their story's done.
Yeah, it's the same way I felt Sydney's story was resolved at the end of Scream 3. You're going to move past it now. Good luck. Move on.
So who's your least favorite character?
Oh God. Take your pick of any of the 3 that end up being revealed to be the killer.
That's what I have to.
all fucking 3 of them. That entire family.
My number 1 though out of the 3 is Quinn. The actress did a great job making me want to punch Quinn in the face at every turn, even when she was just being normal, a normal roommate.
Yeah.
Didn't like her.
Yeah.
Okay, how about favorites? Who's your favorite?
It's a tie.
Ooh.
It's a tie between Kirby and Gale. Same with the other one, part 4. Yeah, it's a tie between Kirby and Gale. I love Kirby so much. I'm so happy they brought her back. I know that they did so at first out of necessity when Nev Campbell departed being involved in the movie. They needed another legacy character that Gale could bounce off of. It was a genius decision. I could watch her eat burgers and react to crime scene photos all day. I fucking love her. And
she was a delight in this.
I think that I love what they did to her character, and I hope to see more of her going forward. She filled the void of Sydney not being there. It shouldn't have worked, but it worked so well because they really gave her something to work with. So I'm here for it, and I'm still here for Gale. I love where she's at in her life. I love how empowered she is during that showdown, even though the technical things that are so stupid about what Ghostface does during her sequence don't work. Just her being such a badass at this point does work.
For me, my favorite characters were just supporting characters, surprisingly, even to me. Danny, who is doing nothing but trying to support Sam this entire time, and Tara by default.
Mm-hmm.
And Annika, Mindy's girlfriend,
mm-hmm.
who's doing nothing but protecting and supporting Mindy in the few scenes we get her for. I was here for the message of support and trust that this movie was doing.
Agreed.
And so, favorite kill?
It's a tough call for me on this one, because all of the kills in this movie seem more intense and even gorier.
100%.
A lot of them are just, if you're a horror fan, they're so fun. As I mentioned before, the way that you see just a little bit of Samara Weaving's intestines, oh boy! But the way that he stabs the therapist in the face through the glass in the door, holy shit! And then when he stabs Annika and just slowly pulls the knife up and you see it.
And twists it.
Okay. These are all honorable mentions though, because my favorite is Annika's death. I am terrified of heights.
Yes.
I'm terrified of heights, specifically of falling from them. The tension during that scene, when she looks at Mindy and screams, "I don't want to die," knowing she's about to.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shakes her off the ladder. She falls, she screams. We see and hear her smack her head on, I think it's a dumpster, and then just boom onto the pavement. That is so intense and so personally scary to me. It's brutal. It's a death that we've never seen in these movies before. It's my favorite kill in this movie.
My favorite kill, as written in my notes, Annika's dumpster dive. For the same reasons you said. The whole scene, from the minute she gets stabbed to them trying to get away, the tension, crossing the ladder, Danny, the MVP, across the way, helping them escape with the ladder. My question, I looked at Mike and said, why do you have an extension ladder in your New York walk-up? Yeah.
Maybe he's just a really handy guy.
Handy guy. So, that's my favorite death scene, favorite kill. It's brutal when she smacks her. Yeah, the terror on her face when she's saying, "I don't want to die." And then it's brutal on top of just dying. So that leads me to favorite scene in the movie. And for me, it is that whole sequence with the ladder. To me, this movie fails in a few spots and it's strong in other spots. And in the spots where it's strong, it's really fucking strong. That's one of them. This was like tension at an 11.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes because I can't pick just one. It's my favorite kill. One of my other favorite scenes is the bodega. I remember being in the theater and just being gobsmacked at this scene because it was like, it's the first time you're really seeing, okay, what happens when you take Ghostface stalking somebody and put them in a very urban environment? This scene is the perfect example. He just walks in, there's fluorescent lighting, it's super bright, there's tons of people. You feel like they should run in there and be safe, and no, they're not. I love the way this is completely different from anything we've ever seen in these movies. When he just walks in and grabs the shotgun from the shop owner and suddenly Ghostface is wielding a gun. Like, this is different. And when they're crawling around trying to get away from him, the tension that exists in that scene is so good. They can't get out the back door. They're trying to. The guy tries to give him the keys. Like, it's very intense and it's just so different. It's a totally different vibe. And I love it. I think that scene was really well done.
So for me, that scene worked for me until it didn't.
For me, one of the things I noticed in that scene that I love was it's the first time you really notice, like, wait, what's up with Ghostface's mask? It's one of those things where the reveal at the end and the whole shrine and how they have everything and they got it all by bribing the police departments, that's stupid. But
it's very stupid.
I do think it's kind of cool the way you can tell the masks are degrading.
Yeah. Yes.
And obviously like Ghostface is wearing a weird old mask and I wonder why. That's when you first notice it. And I remember it gave me this really uncomfortable feeling looking at that mask and going, what the hell's going on there?
What's wrong with the mask?
Something I don't know about. Yeah. And so that scene is cool to me. I really like it.
So it doesn't work for me in the age of the internet because I've been able to see YouTube videos, TikTok, whatever you want to call them, hundreds of videos of people jumping on somebody and stopping them and holding them until the police get there. People who've had weapons. You know, one teacher jumps on a school shooter and tackles him to the ground. So you want to tell me that Ghostface, 10 people standing in a fucking New York bodega, you get the fuck, man, there's a line here. You're telling me that guy couldn't have fucking taken out Quinn or Ethan, whichever one it is. This was a child. They couldn't, 10 people in the bodega couldn't jump on this person and stop them until the police got there. No. Bullshit. Sorry. So yeah, the scene worked for me until it didn't work for me. I was like, oh, no.
That's how I feel about the whole movie. It worked for me until it didn't. It's what I said. It's better than it should be until it isn't.
All right. Anything else about Scream 6?
No, just that I am optimistic for the future of this series.
Okay. So just to recap the rankings, I've got 1 and 2 are 1 and 2, 22 at 5 and 6 are 3 and 4. Part 3 is 5th and 4 is 6th for me.
I would say when it comes to just the general quality of the film, I completely agree with you. However, as a lover and fan of this series, that's my favorite franchise in horror, it would be 1, 2, 3. Then at 4th is Scream 5. At 5th is this one, Scream 6. And last place, Scream 4. I'm so sorry, Wes. I know you tried.
So we agree on 1 and 2 and 4.
Yeah.
The top and the bottom of the franchise, we totally agree. So I like that about us syncing up on that.
I also do, I have to say, just looking at the quality of the films as a standalone film, each one, I do agree with your rankings completely.
Oh, thank you. I understand your logic as well of how you're ranking yours. Totally. So who is your favorite main character of the entire franchise? You've already alluded to this.
I've been saying it the whole damn time.
It is Gail for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Mine is actually Randy. Randy is my favorite face. So even though I hated that he showed up the way he did in part 3, the fact that he's got mini-me's that carry on his legacy in 5 and 6, I love Randy. I think everything about the horror genre and the rules and the comic relief, he's my favorite in the series for sure, even though he's not in the whole series.
I can understand why. He's very lovable and relatable character.
He's the audience surrogate, basically. So who is your least favorite character in the entire franchise?
It's a tough call.
Is it though?
It is. No, it really is. Because is it based on bad writing or just I hate what this character does for the story?
I'm going to go with both. If you've got two to mention, go ahead.
Yeah. So it would be a tie between Amber in Scream 5. I fucking hate the character. I hate the way she's played. I hate the way they work her in as one of the killers. I hate it. Right up there with Jill. And for the same reasons. I hate what you do with her at the end of the movie. I don't like the performance once she's revealed as the killer. I don't like the idea of her as the killer. I hate it.
Mine is Jill for all the reasons we said. My honorable mention is Amber. So there you go.
Oh my God, we agree.
Oh my God. Which of the films, in your opinion, is the scariest of the run? Because you have to remember these are supposed to be scary horror movies. And which Ghostface iteration is the scariest, do you think?
I feel like this is a loaded question because it all depends on who you are, where you were at mentally, physically, and in time when you saw these movies. As someone who was a teenage horror fan when these movies started, nothing will ever be scarier than the first movie. It was so genre bending. It was so fresh and different. You really did not know who was doing this and why. Those killers were the scariest, in my opinion, because it was just this big unknown. There were no rules being followed. Despite what Randy said, it was so unpredictable. You didn't know what was going to happen. And you didn't know who was doing this and why. To me, that's the scariest. Once you know, or you think you should be able to put all the pieces together and know based on what's happened before, it's not as scary. So I feel the first one, because I saw it, when I saw it, how I saw it, is the scariest and remains the scariest.
And the ghost faces in that one are the scariest, you think, because of that reason too? Unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen.
The unpredictability. And once they're revealed, how off the rails and out there they are, and they're just as scary and menacing without the mask. So yeah, to me, they are the scariest. Nothing's, I think, in any of the subsequent movies have ever lived up to how frightening that was, the unknown.
Just to save us time, I agree with you for all the same reasons. Those are legitimately my same answers, and for all the things that you said, for sure. All right, that wraps up the Scream franchise as it sits. Now, we've got some tidbits about Scream 7. Yes, everybody, there will be a new installment. I don't know what they're going to call it. Are you familiar with any of the news that has come out so far about Scream 7?
Only that they've had to change the plans and pivot. As you mentioned earlier, no more Sam and Tara, and that they were able to work things out, and Neve Campbell is going to be a part of the new movie. That's all I know, because that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, well, there will be no spoilers here. But I will tell you, I saw an interview of Neve Campbell on Extra TV very recently, where she confirmed, and I went to IMDb to double check, because even though their plot synopsises are always sketchy, it's an official Hollywood used website. And if somebody's listed on a cast list, it's probably true. So IMDb does have Neve Campbell listed, and Courtney Cox as well. Sometimes it'll say rumored if they're not sure the person signed on, but this doesn't say rumored. Now, in her interview, she did tell the person that she did receive a copy of the script. She really likes it, and it takes the direction that they took with it. She's really, really pleased with. She likes what they're doing with it. So that makes me hopeful that they're going to give Sydney, maybe Mark, the main roles in this film. They're going to be front and center, I'm hoping. She confirmed Kevin Williamson is directing this installment, because apparently he had always wanted to direct one. I don't know how I feel about that, because he's not writing it. It's coming in 2026. Does that get you a little more excited about it?
For sure. Kevin Williamson obviously had a huge connection with Wes Craven, and they were very collaborative with the first many movies in this series.
4.
So I'm very hopeful that Kevin Williamson wanted to be involved, that Neve Campbell is excited to be involved. That gives me a ton of hope. And I really, really hope that they bring in Patrick Dempsey.
Me too. I would love some Mark and maybe the kids, and maybe put her family in danger. Although I'm really struggling. I was racking my brain, and I don't want to try to hypothesize of what the danger is going to be, who and why. I'm curious.
I sure hope that they can right the ship, because in my opinion, with this last one, with Scream 6, they kind of shit the bed when it came to who the killers were and why, and the reveal and all of it. So I hope there's some redemption there.
Well, that wraps up our franchise discussion on Scream. Thank you, Nikki Flixx, for joining me on this momentous occasion. I am so happy we finally got to these movies. I know you are.
Yes, I am. I am super stoked that of all your franchise rankings, this was the one I got to be involved in because that feels very fitting. I love these movies. I'm so glad we got to talk about them.
All right. Well, hopefully I can get you back here for some more episodes in the future because I know the listeners miss you, as do I.
Oh, well, I miss them. So I guess I'll have to come pop back in from time to time.
We'll have to do a requel.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And we want to thank all of you for listening. And until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Special Agent Kirby Reed, FBI. I work out of the Atlanta office.
You lost.
Here, 2 Vics were residents of my city before they moved here for college. I have been investigating their online activity for the past few months.
Why?
They take a special interest in Ghostface attacks.
Kirby?
Hey, Sam.
Kirby? Jailed. She's with the FBI. She's a child. When did they start letting children into the FBI?
I'm 30.
Well, you look like a zygote.
I have a gun, Gil.
Okay, fine. You're gonna want to see this too.
Hey, listeners, Movie Miss here, saying we know you have a lot of options when it comes to podcasts. So we want to thank you so much for listening to ours. Please make sure to find us on our socials and join us. Be part of our bad movie conversations. We want to chat with you. We're on Facebook with an official page, as well as a Let's Talk Turkeys discussion group where you can talk with other like-minded individuals who like bad movies. We're on Instagram at Let's Talk Turkeys. Our Twitter handle is at Gobble Podcast. That's GOBBLEPODCAST. And of course, you can always email us direct. We would love to get suggestions from you of movies you would like us to cover. If you want to be a guest on the show, we would love that. So directly, that's Let's Talk Turkeys, all one word, at yahoo.com.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.